Is 5:30, close enough? All right. We'll call this meeting to order. Can we all rise for the pledge of the flag? Pledge of allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Take some time to recite our mission. Our mission is to encourage everyone to see and be their personal best through successful learning experiences. Become your best. Moving on to the adoption of the agenda and consent agenda as the order of business with identification of items to be taken off the consent agenda for discussion and or separate action. Was there anything we wanted to move to? Other than that, I just need a motion, I believe.
I move that we adopt the agenda and consent agenda as presented.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All right, moving on to the approval, consider approval of the consent agenda as adopted. Approve the minutes from February 18th, 2025 Board of Education meeting. Approve the financial report for the period July 1st, 2024 through February 29th, 2025. Approve the bills for the period February 1st through the 29th, 2025 in the amount of $2,479,658.85. A motion?
Make a
So
motion.
moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
Yes. All right, moving on, Scott, giving a legislative update.
Yes, the group was able to meet yesterday. Lindy Brill and Joe Sheehan and Devin Lemieux were all in attendance, so it was a great opportunity for us just to connect with them once again and see where we are at the state level. The Senate actually took the floor today for the first time, so things will start rolling there as well. But it seems like there's a little bit of a holding pattern right now. They have some bills in the Assembly that they're considering, however, they don't expect any movement on those for some time because they're waiting on some court cases to shake out this spring as well. One involving the governor's veto power, another involving Act 10. So there's 3 or 4 that they're waiting on before they take up bills in earnest. They are going through the governor's proposed budget. It's 1,900 pages is what we were informed of, so that's probably a fairly arduous task that they're taking a look at that. The main takeaway, I mean, a lot of the topics are the same. We're talking decoupling, we're talking special ed funding, things like that. But the main takeaway at this point was budget from the state probably will be, it'll take a little bit of time before we're going to see anything, more time than normal, which is very difficult. Amy and I have been chatting about that for quite a bit the last week or so. Difficult to put that initial budget together, your preliminary budget without all of your variables in place, but we will figure it conservatively and bring that to you by June. But it's going to be a bit before we see that from the state.
June would be the budget for the Pullman School District?
Yes, approval of the preliminary budget.
Okay. Can we just go through timeline again, I guess, just so we have June's the school budget.
Preliminary budget,
Yeah.
correct. Formal approval of the budget takes place at our annual meeting in October. We're hopeful, in that conversation, they were talking about perhaps September. We would see that budget
Okay.
from the state, but that's a really quick turnaround. And of course, we have kids showing up at our doors before that time. So that's where, we're going to do our very best to figure conservatively. And, I mean, Amy will be talking more and more about that as we go through spring, but just very difficult when you don't have all the information to start constructing that budget.
All right. Anybody else? Any questions, Scott? All right, thank you. Our next item is the Panther Spotlight with Fairview Elementary School.
Good evening. Tonight's spotlight focuses on our community engagement pillar. Last spring, I believe it was, I was contacted and told that Generations had a new executive director, and he wanted to share an idea with me. So I went down and met with Greg Voss, the new executive director, and Joe Kane. I thought your whole name is...
Community engagement and program manager.
Oh, appropriate as that. And they shared an idea with me about a program that brings retirees into schools to help and build connections with young people. And tonight they are here to tell you all about it. So I'll let them do it.
Thanks, Nick. As Nick said, I'm Greg Voss, Executive Director at Generations, and this play program that we launched, we couldn't do it without the community support of our annual campaign that we do every year. When I first came, I knew we needed to look at diversifying our revenue at Generations. Can't all, as you guys know best, it can't all be just grants, it can't be just donations or special events. So we started an annual campaign, and we did $43,000 on a $30,000 goal. The next year, we raised some eyebrows with board members. We went up to $80,000 goal. We made $90,000. So we have a lot of pressure this year. But the dollars that we raise through the annual campaign, we want to go, like Nick is saying about engagement, we wanted to get close to the schools. We wanted to really strengthen our relationship with the school district. And so the play program, actually, I can't say I invented it, but at my YMCA career in the Twin Cities in Des Moines, Iowa, we started the play program. And it was a huge success for so many good reasons. For the teachers, Joel will speak to it, but for the teachers, the kids, and the volunteers probably more than anybody. So we're really pleased to have launched this partnership. I know Joel can report, and we all see it in the eyes of the kids. And the extra 20 minutes the teachers get, or the parents get, as a little bit of a break, a respite, I think is the word that we use, so that they can get a little bit of a break. But we're proud to be here, and we look forward to working with Scott. We are appreciative of the opportunity to be here. We thank Nick for letting us into their house at Fairview. That's not always easy, so there was quick trust built. But I'm going to hand off to Joel, because we couldn't do a program like this without what I call our franchise quarterback. You know, someone that really is engaged in the community, has the energy and the initiative, who loves kids, and Joe does an amazing job there at Fairview. So I'm going to hand off to Joe and talk a little bit about logistics and some of the successes and the goals of the program.
Thanks, Greg. Hello, everyone. If you catch me in the morning, I probably don't need a script, but by 5 o'clock, I am very much, my brain is leaving, so forgive me. I'm going to do a little bit of reading, but I want to make sure that all my thoughts are gotten out there. So thank you guys for helping me. I am the Community Engagement and Program Manager at Generations. I also help coordinate our newest program, Play with Generations, which is promoting lifelong activity with our youth at Fairview Elementary School. So I want us all to take a moment and think back to our own elementary school days. Picture recess, the excitement of racing outside, the sound of laughter, the energy of kids running across the playground. Now imagine for a moment that you're standing on the edge of the blacktop, watching the games unfold, but not quite sure where you fit in. Maybe you weren't the fastest runner, maybe you didn't know the rules of the game being played, or maybe you just needed someone to invite you in. Now imagine that every Tuesday a group of friendly, familiar adults show up, not stand on the sidelines, but jump in to say, hey, you want to play? To tie your shoe, to cheer you on, to teach you a new game, to be a weekly presence you can count on the playground. That's what Play with Generations, I hope, is for many of these students. So each Tuesday during lunch recess, we bring 3 volunteers. We have a pool of about 15, so they decide and sign up on the days that work for them. To facilitate games, encourage teamwork, and most importantly, build intergenerational relationships with students 4K through 4th grade, one of our biggest missions at Generations of bringing the different generations together to build a stronger community. We know that children thrive when they're engaged, active, and feel connected. Play with Generations is designed to enhance the school day by creating opportunities for meaningful interactions through play. While the program fosters social and emotional growth for students, it also provides valuable respite time for the Fairview staff, giving them a well-deserved break while knowing that students are engaged in positive, enriching activities. Intergenerational programs create opportunities for students to learn, build confidence, develop social and emotional skills in a way that feels natural, through play. While volunteers may bring a structured game plan, we also have to pivot to meet the kids where they're at that day. Some weeks that means soccer, other weeks that means basketball, flag tag, or even just chatting on the swings. One of the most simplest yet profound impacts we see Every interaction starts with that universal language of a smile. When an older adult kneels down to tie a shoe, cheers for a child after a goal, or shares a laugh about a game, those small moments add up to something much bigger. They make every child feel seen. We often hear about supporting at-risk kids, but the truth is all kids are at risk. Risk of loneliness, risk of not feeling included, risk of not having strong role models at home. Play with Generation ensures that every child, regardless of their background, has positive, caring adults consistently showing up for them. One of the things that makes Play with Generation so special is that our volunteers don't just supervise, they get to jump in and play as equals. Having that ability to go home after and rest is very helpful, and not something that teachers have the ability to do. So each week, one of our volunteers has built a special connection with one of the students over a game of basketball. At first, it was just a quick challenge, but it soon became a weekly tradition. Each Tuesday, the moment that this volunteer steps on the playground, the student runs up, ready for a rematch. They joke, they keep score, they compete, just like friends. One day after a particularly close game, the student turned to her and said, "You know, you're actually really fun to play with, more fun than my mom." It was a simple statement, but spoke volumes. But that makes the story even more powerful, is that this relationship isn't just impacting the student. It's deeply meaningful for the volunteer too. She recently shared with me that these relationships mean more to her than the kids will ever know, as she and her husband were never able to have children of their own. For her, Tuesdays have become just as special as I hope they are for the students. This program isn't just about recess, it's about connection, belonging, and the joy of play for all generations. And sometimes the impact goes far beyond what we can see. So at its core, Play with Generations is about connection. It's about making sure that every child at recess has someone to kick a ball with, somebody to cheer them on, and somebody who sees them. We're incredibly grateful for this partnership with Fairview, and we look forward to growing it in years to come. And thank you for your time and support today. So,
Thank you, Joa.
Thank you.
I do love it when you hear a child in the hallway like, "Oh yeah, today's the day the people from Generations come." Anybody have any questions this evening?
So how many go on the days that they go? 1 or 2 or 4?
Each day, I am there each week, and 3 volunteers.
3 come?
Yes.
Okay.
Is this something new that you started this past school year, or is it, when did it
This
take
fall
place?
we started.
Very good. Thank you.
And only at Fairview?
Correct.
Okay,
Currently,
okay.
Starting small and growing from there. is
Okay.
awesome.
Very good.
It's a very cool program. I'm assuming it's gotten a lot of positive feedback?
Yeah, you know, the fun part about it too is, you know, the dollars raised through our campaign fund this entirely. So
Okay.
it's the community that is investing in this program. We have many, many retired teachers at Generations. They write big checks for this program, because I wish we had this when I was teaching. So, I mean, it comes full circle from a fundraising standpoint too.
Okay.
But in some, like in Des Moines, Iowa, where it was with the Y, we had 16 different schools. We weren't there every week, but it just exploded in awesome impact.
Excellent. And you don't have a hard time getting volunteers?
You
Or is
know,
it weather
during
dependent?
wintertime where it was negative, and we were, outside depending upon 1 degree or 2 degree, a little harder those weeks. That definitely proved to be a little bit of a trip, but we had a few people too, like, I know they weren't into the cold, but they showed up anyways. I said, I need you, and they showed up. So it was kind of cool, and I think it got a lot of them out of their house in a more sad, dark time of the year too,
Sure.
so.
Sure. Very cool.
All right, thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, moving on to the academic pillar of excellence. We need to consider the approval of summer school courses for the 25 summer school program. Summer school will be held June 16th, 2025 through July 17th, 2025. Scott?
Yeah, if you'll recall, last week, Mr. Miller presented a beautiful slideshow and highlighting on there not only the holdover classes from last year, but then there were also 7 new ones that he went through as well. So just seeking approval for those proposed classes that he went through last week.
I make a motion, we approve the summer school schedule?
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
All right, on to finance, buildings and grounds. Item A, I believe this is a little bit of, requesting an early closure of the TID number 4 early distribution agreement.
Right, if you think back to last summer already, we were talking about the release of the funds when they closed TID number 4. And I believe we had anticipated potentially getting those funds last summer. However, we did not, so we just circled back with the city to find out an ETA on those things. And it sounded like more towards the end of this summer into fall. And they were very willing to work with us on this agreement, which ensures that we will receive 90% of the funds that we would be getting from that TID closure by July 31st. That's important to us because we have a project, or two, going on this summer, and our auditors are here that first week in August, and we want to have things buttoned up and be where we need to be by then. So, again, very appreciative to the city for putting this proposal together to ensure that we are in receipt of at least 90% of those funds.
And you're looking for approval of the proposal.
Approval of the proposal,
Right.
yep. And if it is approved, then I'll need a couple signatures from Dan and Sally.
Still be 500, says 566.
Correct, and that's, yep, 90% of that.
90% of it.
Yep.
Does it state when the other 10% remainder
No,
comes?
and I don't think they have that specified yet.
Okay.
I think they have to have it distributed by the end of 2025. But we will have closed this current school year by the time we get the other 10%. So we needed to lock this amount in so we could set it up as a receivable yet in this school year to cover the cost of the project.
Gotcha. Okay, can I get a motion to approve the signing of the agreement?
So moved.
And I'll second.
All in favor?
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Thank you.
All right, moving on. Scott, I think you want to run us through consider gifts and corresponding budget adjustments?
Yeah, thank you. We'd ask that the board consider the following gifts and adjustments: a donation of $4,100 from the Kohler Foundation to be used for We Act, and a donation of $100 from Tina Cooney to purchase totes for the music department.
All right, we need a motion, a second for approval.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Yes.
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 And thank you for that. Dan, if I can add one more thing.
Yes,
This
absolutely.
isn't on, our agenda, but Abby Ward, seventh grade teacher over at Riverview, had shipped me an email. About 10 years ago, they started a worm dissection unit in her science class, and she went to Terry's Bait Barn to get her night crawlers, again, about a decade ago. And he was curious, as the story was told to me, he was curious as to why she was purchasing all these night crawlers in February. And she explained, and he said, they're on me. And we haven't paid for night crawlers in the last decade. He just donates them every year. So just a neat little story, another little connection with the community.
Awesome. All right, moving on to policy, we need to consider the approval of the second reading of Neola Policy, Volume 34, Number 1, Technical Corrections, Administrative Update 33.2, 34.1, Policies 2264, 2266, and UGG. Edgar, updates. Janelle?
Yes, as Dan mentioned, this is our second reading. Back on January 21st, Kathy and I, plus Scott, Katrina, and a number of our district administrators met with our Neola representative. And again, Neola is the governing body that kind of oversees what are the changes coming through. And we have, there are 4 classes of recommended updates that were received. And it's mainly to put us in compliance with state law. So they're the regular updates, which our group went through. And again, we don't always say yes to everything. We kind of make them work with what matches our other policies here. So they're regular updates, which I sort of highlighted in our February meeting, which, and then there are technical updates. It's more of like word corrections of putting a comma here and there and fixing little things. Then there were administrative updates, which Scott and his team went through. And then there are Edgar updates, which are tied more to the U.S. Department of Education's update. So all of the policies, once they're adopted, they'll be posted on our school website. So those are all there. And I don't know if anyone has questions, but we presented our recommendations back in February, if anyone has questions, but here are all the policies.
I've got mine too.
Yes, and there was also an update to Title IX when things changes right after we met as a group, that Title IX, they kind of revoked the updates that were pushed through quickly last summer. So the August updates were kind of stopped, and unless there is a claim that comes through back from August to current date, but those are kind of on the shelf now. So they're coming attractions, a lot of changes coming. So I guess our policy committee recommends that we update or approve the policies as presented, as revised by our group.
Okay. Can I get a motion and a second for approval of those policies?
I make a motion that we accept the policies as they were updated.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes. All right, moving on to the period of public participation. No, nobody signed up. All right, moving on to liaison reports. Community Ed, Sally.
Spring sports are opening up tomorrow for registration. It's open to the 7th and 8th graders. It's open to everybody, the public, the private schools, and homeschoolers. Track and field, April 1st. Tennis and golf is available. And then Community Ed is also offering 45 activities this spring, which includes 11 new classes. And in this is also a free movie on May 19th. You need to call and register so they know people want to come to that. And registration opens tomorrow. That's all.
All right, sounds good. Foundation, Janelle?
The Education Foundation met last week, Wednesday night, and they are sending out a big thank you to all the persons that came and donated for our music bingo fundraiser. They called it an overwhelming success, which they raised over about $28,000 after the bills were paid. So thank you to everyone who participated, and it was a big win, a very successful night. Right now, they're all going through and processing all their scholarship applications for all the students. So the big next event is on May 7th. We'll have a scholarship award night here. So come and see all the scholarships and all the good deeds. I guess the other reminder that I wanted to highlight is that teachers online, if the Education Foundation has a subset on the school website, so you can go to the foundation's website and there's a list in there for teachers' wish list. So if you want to help in another way, you can see exactly what every teacher in each building might have on their wish list. So we appreciate all the generosity. Thank you.
Sounds good, thank you. Last but not least, the Family Resource Center, Kathy.
Alongside the normal events happening, the Biddy Book Club at Mead Library, Tiny Todd's Playgroup at the Plymouth Public Library, and BYOB, Bring Your Own Baby, at the Mead Public Library. There are a couple of events coming up in April. On Tuesday, April 22nd is a drive-in movie night at Generations, where children will make a cardboard car, enjoy snacks, and watch a short movie from the comfort of their own car. It's free, but you have to register. On Wednesday, April 30th, SchBd will hold a developmental screening at the Early Learning Center in Sheboygan. It's free, but again, you must register online. And their big fundraising event this year is on Thursday, April 3rd. It's the second annual Spelling Bee fundraiser at Blue Harbor. Teams will consist of 2 adult spellers and 1 adult alternate, and will compete in a Scripps-style bee. I'm not sure what that is, because I sat down the first round, so I'm not a speller. Teams must register by Thursday, March 20th, that's this Thursday, and the Plymouth School District is sending a team of spellers. Information on all these things can be found at familyresourcesheboygan.org. That's my update.
All right, thank you for that. Moving on to item number 13, personnel. We need to consider the retirement and administrative changes.
Yes, so I've got a list. It is that retirement season, effective at the end of this year. So here we go. We'd ask the board consider the approval of the retirement from Dan Knaus, Activities Director at Plymouth High School, effective at the end of the 24-25 school year. Dan has been with the district for 33 years. Consider the approval of the retirement from Carrie Piper, Chemistry Teacher at Plymouth High School, effective at the end of the school year. Carrie's been with the district for 25 years. Consider the approval of the retirement from Sarah Mackey, English teacher at Plymouth High School, effective at the end of the 24-25 school year. Sarah has been with the district for 25 years. Consider the approval of the retirement from Wendy Naskovitz, business education teacher at Plymouth High School, effective at the end of the 24-25 school year. Wendy has been with us for 3 years. Consider the approval of resignation from Casey Winter, third grade teacher at Fairview Elementary School, effective at the end of the 24-25 school year. Casey has been with the district for 2 years. And consider the approval of resignation from Kristen Karpinski, special education teacher at Fairview Elementary School, effective at the end of the 24-25 school year. Kristen has been with the district for 1 year. And the other thing I'd say, specifically with the top 3 or 4 individuals, that is a whole lot of time, energy, and dedication to the district, to our district. So big shoes to fill. Can't thank those people enough. I'm glad we've got several months to adequately thank them as we go.
Yeah, absolutely. Got over 100, I'm trying to add up all these years, right? Almost 150 years of experience. It's wild. All right, thank you, Scott. Oh, wait, I gotta make a motion and approve, right? Yeah. Gonna make a motion and approve and
We'll
approval?
make a motion, we approve these retirements and resignations of staff.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.
And then the support staff update, again, does not need approval, but I do want to make sure I highlight these 2 individuals for their time and energy. Michelle Kleka, a special education aide at Horizon Elementary, has submitted her resignation. She has been with the district for 25 years. And Linda Petrie, teacher's aide at Fairview Elementary School, has submitted her resignation. Linda's been with the district for 21 years, so a big thank you to those 2 individuals as well.
Absolutely. Thank you. We don't have any additional items from the consent agenda, so we'll move on to the president's report. That would be short and sweet as well. I think I'll spend a little bit of time and just kind of mention the appreciation I have for the personnel, especially those that are retiring. 25, 30 years is a long time in any position, and especially one that means so much to so many here, including myself, that were taught by them or were a coach at some point. So again, much appreciation given to those faculty members, and we will try to find great replacements for each one of them. And I'll move on to Scott and the superintendent report.
Thank you. I'm going to hit student and staff recognitions first. I've got quite a little lineup here. So first of all, congratulations to our wrestling state qualifiers. Sawyer Daly placed 3rd at state. Megan Scheineman, 6th at state, and Cam Kulo also qualified for state competition. So congratulations to those 3. Last board meeting, we talked about Eli First and Colton Lindman. They had qualified for state in dive, and Eli came home in 8th place. Colton finished right behind him in 9th place, so congratulations to those 2. Ariana Coleman, an 8th grader at Riverview, qualified for the state solo and ensemble competition on April 26th. She's the first Riverview band student to qualify since 2018, so congrats to her. Plymouth High School's 180-degree program honored 18 students a couple weeks ago. This is an event sponsored by Johnsonville. They kick in for breakfast, of course, Johnsonville sausage, put together some gift bags and things like that for the kids, and the kids are honored for essentially improving their GPA by 1.0 or more over the course of the last year. Mr. Novak emceed it, And obviously, Johnsonville was a main thrust behind it as well. So thanks to everybody involved for that, with that event. FBLA State Leadership Conference is taking place March 31st and April 1st. Thanks to Todd Williams, Joel Williams, and Wendy Naskovitz for advising that group. We are sending 48 students to that state competition, so really fantastic work. HOSA, also competing at state, April 6th through the 8th. Some students overlapping between those two, so they're going to be busy for a bit here. 22 students are participating in that state competition. Shifting gears, Pioneer Athletic Fields of Excellence Award. We won that, and big thanks to Ryan Rush and his crew. 9th year in a row that we have been recognized. This year, even more so, we are one of 2 schools to be awarded scholarships. We're receiving 2 $500 scholarships for 2025 seniors based on that award. And we were one of like 2 or 3 schools throughout the nation that had 3 fields being recognized. We were recognized for baseball, soccer, and softball fields. So great work representing the district with the upkeep of our fields. And finally, a big thanks to all involved. So many people we should thank for Legally Blonde, our musical. 4 straight days of outstanding performances. Big thanks to Mr. Colombo, Mrs. Smith, Mr. Bunye, and so on. Again, a whole lot of people have a hand in that event, and it's a community event, frankly. So a lot to be proud of there. Upcoming events, I would be remiss if I did not mention that we just wrapped up the ACT, a big day in the lives of our juniors. So thank you to Mr. Brandel, Mr. Novak, the entire crew here at Plymouth High School. That is a significant undertaking. So a lot of coordination, a lot of behind-the-scenes stuff. So thanks to that group. And thanks to our juniors. I'm sure they knocked it out of the park. Spring sports, that is a topic of conversation. Some are underway, and I think our last one will begin the last week of March. So once we hit April, all of our spring sports are up and running, a good sign of spring. Costa Rica field trip, March 20th through the 29th. We've got a bunch of kids going on that trip, so excited for them. And lastly, spring break is next week. So this January to mid-March time period, it can be daunting at times. So I'm excited for our kids, our staff, and everybody just to get re-energized and refuel the tank a little bit. That's all I got.
Sounds good. Thank you. All right, and then we'll move to adjournment. Can I get a motion in a second?
Make a motion, we adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor?
Yes.
Yes.